Welcome to the Quantum Your Life podcast. This is Rozana from Rozana Manifests, helping you unleash your innate power to fast track your manifestations and give your self concept the ultimate glow up. If you're listening to this, then you're ready to be empowered and transformed using my quantum embodiment method to collapse time and space and to magnetize your soul's deepest desires to you. Tune into this podcast if you're ready to uplevel your entire life through mind-body integration. Okay, so let's do this. I'm really excited. Okay, so excuse me, it took me a moment. I was just informing everybody where I'm live because I was supposed to be on Facebook. Anyway, welcome back to day 2 of Manifest on Demand. I am so excited for today. It's going to be amazing. I have the most mind blowing content and it's going to help change the manifestation game for you. And this is really unlike anything you've probably ever heard because a lot of the conversations out there, they don't go deep into the real issue that's actually happening. A lot of it is fluff, like, just intend, just affirm, just get back in your power. It's like you can't even get out of your power. You can't ever lose your power. So, this conversation is about exiting the healing loop. Exit the healing loop. Now, I'm not discouraging healing. I still do it. I'm all for healing, right? What I'm against is constant healing, almost feeling like it's never ending. Like you always have something to heal, you always have something to change. Of course, as human beings, we are work in progress. If you're alive, you're gonna have heights to go. You're gonna have new desires, you're gonna have new goals, you're gonna have experiences that you want to create for yourself. So, of course, as a human being, you're always going to grow. But today we're talking about ending the healing loop of constantly finding yourself from one wound to the other, from one healing space to the other. Because at the end of the day, you're here to also live and not just be in constant pain. And as much as I appreciate that a lot of the content out there is helping you get out of this like constant, like, oh, you have to affirm all the time, you have to keep your thoughts in check all the time, the same thing is done with hi guys, the same thing is being done with the nervous system regulation content, which again I love and I encourage. However, I want to talk today about how to create emotional authority so that you're not constantly looking for the next thing to heal, so that healing is a part of your journey, something that you carry with you, versus your life being healing and then you're carrying parts of your journey with you. Does that make sense? Thank you. I'm doing good. How are you? So let's talk first about why you're in a healing loop. So, I mean, we know that the community, again, as I said yesterday, it started with like high vibe all the time, and then it was affirming all the time. And people got tired of both because they're not always sustainable for a lot of people. If it is for you, good for you. This conversation isn't for you. So, for the one who's always in a healing loop, who's always finding herself from one wound to the other, shadow work, shadow work, shadow work nonstop, and just a little bit of living versus living and some work on the side that you do on yourself, is because you're probably, number one, confusing self awareness with self abandonment. So, a lot of people think that if they're not constantly in check of how they're feeling, and managing and monitoring, which is another way of saying control, by the way, that it means you're abandoning yourself. That's not what self abandonment is. Self abandonment is choosing to not give yourself what you need. It's not listening to your mind and your body according to their needs. It's not going after what you deserve, right? So, confusing self awareness with self abandonment is really the thing that's tripping you up. Because it's like, if you have self awareness, then step number one is done. Now we want to move forward. But as I said yesterday, a lot of times people are constantly looking for something to shift, something to heal, something to change. So that's one of the reasons why you're always in a healing loop. The second reason is it's almost become a personality trait. So think of anything in the world. For example, I used to hate the gym. I used to say, no matter what, I'm not hitting the gym. No matter, I was like, I would rather do anything than ever hit the gym. But then eventually I started going and I started liking it and I started doing the things that I like. It became an aspect of my personality that I'm someone who naturally likes to work out, who moves a lot. And when you feed into any habit for so long, it can become part of your personality trait. So you could be stuck in a healing loop because you have been constantly healing, and then carrying parts of your journey again, versus moving on with your journey and having healing on the side, right? You had both. You had them the opposite way. So it has become a personality trait that you're the person who always needs healing. And then the other thing, third one, and I know this might trigger some people. A lot of people are attached to their trauma story. I love you so much, but just because mom and dad didn't love you when you were young, it doesn't mean that it's okay to continue to enable yourself with old habits. It doesn't mean that it's okay for you to constantly beat yourself up and not allow yourself to experience what you want. Just because, and I'm not saying this as like it's not important or that you shouldn't work on it again, always work on yourself. What I'm saying is, this whole attachment to your trauma story is almost like people wear a golden medal with it. It's like, oh, if I'm doing the work, if I'm working on myself, if I'm in pain, if I'm surviving something, then I'm like, ooh, then now I'm worth it. And it's kind of like giving the mindset of like you're only celebrated when you get good grades in school. It's kind of like that. You're kind of treating yourself that way and you're treating your journey that way. Being so attached to your trauma story is going to keep you in a space of the survivor. And again, I'm not saying don't look back and be like, I'm so proud of myself for moving through that. I want you to be proud. What I don't want you to do is continue to look back, and just look back and just look back and just look back and keep saying, oh, I'm doing good, oh, I'm doing good, oh, I'm doing good. You've proven yourself enough. Stop trying to prove yourself. I know you survived that experience. Stop. So, what is it that you are a survivor of that you keep going back to? Because we want to use these experiences as catalysts for our growth, not catalysts to us being stuck in pain, right? Because if you're stuck in pain, you're always going to need that medication, right? You're always going to need to self medicate. So, confusing self awareness with self abandonment, regulation turning into a personality trait. Thirdly, you're attached to your trauma story. And then the last one here is you're actually chasing your desires. Yeah. Sometimes when we're always healing, we're actually chasing desires. So I want you to think of energetic chasing the same thing as physical chasing. So when you're always like, oh, you're trying to get the world to do something for you, you're always affirming for it. It's like, where's it? And you're like ignoring your feelings, can't stay present at work and your family gatherings and all that because you're so hyper fixated on getting this thing. That's energetic chasing, right? That's kind of like knocking on someone's door 10 times. Are you there? Are you still here? Are you still here? We do the exact same thing, the energetic chasing, with this healing loop. When you're always looking for something to fix, always thinking there's something wrong with you, something that needs to change, you're actually chasing an outcome. You're actually chasing your desires. Again, yes, there is some truth to this work where you need to become somebody different if you want to experience a new lifestyle, new habits. However, That is a form of chasing if it's constant. So, again, 4 reasons why you're in a healing loop. 1, you're confusing self awareness with self abandonment. 2, regulation has become your personality trait. 3, you're attached to your trauma story. 4, you're chasing your desires. And I just thought of something actually when I just said attached to your trauma story. So, think of like any desire that you have in mind. Let's say it's money, and you have experiences in the past or you grew up struggling with money. If your trauma story that you're attached to is this one, that you're the one who had to suffer, had to watch all of your friends get whatever they want and you didn't, what tends to happen is that we carry that and we spill it in other areas. Where you're now the one who's sitting on the sidelines watching everybody get exactly what you want, but you never do. Where you're now sitting on the sidelines, the only one suffering and feeling left behind, right? So it's things like that that we spill in other areas, and that's why it's important to clean that up. Because again, what is self concept? It's self, how you, your perception of yourself, and that applies to all areas, right? So, thank you, Kian. Where is it? I'm looking at the screen over here because I can't put the slides over here. Where was I? Okay. So we covered why you're constantly in a healing loop. So what can actually help you exit that? It's going to be a couple of things. Actually, the main two are going to be 1, accepting that there is no finish line. 2, emotional authority. So let's cover the first one. You need to accept that there is no finish line to this work. And when you don't accept that, you stay suffering. You're always like looking for what to do to get out of this, looking for what to do to get out of this. And my love, everything you're feeling right now is everything you're going to continue to feel when you have what you want. So what's the point? So that's why it's important to clear up where you're at right now and the self concept that you're coming from. Because everything you're carrying is what you're going to be when you have what you want. It's just like, have you ever had a friend who, when she first got into a relationship, she was like all happy and jolly, and then 3 months, 5, 6 months down the line, she started being the same negative Nancy she is, respectfully. So everything you're feeling right now is everything you're going to continue to feel then. So when you accept that there is no finish line, it's doing it right now, not I have to do this so that I'm done with it completely. That's when you're going to stop going back and forth with that trauma story, with that healing loop, with constantly working on this, but it's not working. Instead, what you're going to do is 1, you know that this work is forever, so now you can carry healing on the side or inner work on the side. It's not the baseline. You're moving forward, you're living your life as new self, you're getting what you want, and on the side, you're doing the inner work, of course. 2, it's about you accepting that it's not that thing over there that you're going to have to reach for. It's you're always going to be growing. If you're alive right now, which I'm sure you are if you're listening to this, then you're always going to have new goals and desires. So you're always going to grow as a person. I still invest in mentorship. Every mentor I know still invests in mentorship. I don't believe anybody who says that they don't. People who don't probably don't grow as much anymore. Or, I don't know. But you're either using resources or using mentorship or using whatever, right? So they're probably using resources if they're not using mentorship. So I want you to start accepting that there is no finish line, and that's a relief. Because what that means is that you don't have to stay suffering until you get something specific. It means that you get to be at peace now, you get to be happy now, you get to be in the self concept that you want to now, and what you want. But when you see it as like a finish line, that's when you keep yourself in this loop of healing. What do I do next? What do I do next? Where do I go next? Instead of taking the pressure off of the finish line and knowing like you don't even need to cross it. You won, and everything that you're doing is a carry on of your entire journey all those years. So the next part here is number 2. So we talked about 1, accepting there's no finish line. 2 is going to be developing emotional authority. This is a big piece that nobody talks about. So why is it important to develop emotional authority? Well, 4 reasons. 1, it keeps you in your power. When you have authority over how you feel, when you're not succumbing to the feelings and the triggers all the time, you're no longer afraid of facing them. You're no longer afraid of meeting them. You're no longer afraid of experiencing them. And that doesn't stop you from telling the old story either. The new story. 2, there is less room for wavering. So when you're in a space of authority, you have the audacity to just choose what you want to be and who you want to be. There is less room for wavering. But when you don't have emotional authority, you're moving according to the feelings, according to the circumstances, according to what's happening, according to who said what, according to who didn't say what. So that leaves way less room for wavering, and what it actually creates is that independence internally. Number 3, it allows you to fully let go of the old story. When you have that emotional authority, you will no longer tell the old story. When you have that authority, and I'm going to talk about how we can cultivate that authority over your emotions, when you're not feeling controlled by them or afraid of them, that's when you're going to stop feeling attached to your trauma story. That's when you're going to stop feeling like you're attached to old self all the time. And that will allow you to break and separate from her. Lastly, creating emotional authority, it helps you use your current emotions, good, bad, neutral, to manifest faster. And I'm going to talk about how in a moment. Let me just grab a sip of this. Oops. Okay. So, how do we create emotional authority? Number 1, you stop fearing your emotions. So, when you stop fearing your emotions, when you form a new relationship with them and treat them how your higher self would, that's when everything is going to change. Because the people who tend to fear their emotions, who tend to worry about experiencing a specific trigger again, are the people who usually sit there and wait for the trigger to happen again, and they're telling themselves, "Oh, I'm not triggered," right? And what that happens, what that creates is that stress within your body, and almost like you holding your breath and anticipating for that trigger. So when it comes through, it's almost like that hiccup feeling again, like, oh my god, my god, it's back, it's back, it's back. So when you stop fearing them by forming a new relationship with them and treating them the way your higher self would, that's when everything changes. That's when you will stop succumbing to your emotions and moving accordingly, moving up and down when based on how you're feeling. So form your relationship with them, the way I see it is like it's a family within you, right? All the emotions. Kind of like Inside Out. Anybody here watched Inside Out? If you watched Inside Out, you've seen all the characters like joy and anger and disgust and all these emotions. They live together. Joy was not trying to remove sadness from her life to be joy. She was just joy. So when you see your emotions as a family within you and know how to get them to converse, that's when you will have that new relationship with your emotions. So again, number 1, form a new relationship with them and treating them how your higher self would, so you can stop fearing them. 2, allowing the negative, I don't like to call them negative emotions, allowing the negative emotions to be the fuel towards your dream life. So, think of the feeling of anger. Does anger have to derail you and take you off track? No. And trust me, I deal with anger. I know it. I know it so well. Your emotions don't have to be the reason why you can't get what you want. They can actually be the exact reason why you can. So when you look at anger and see it as like the thing that makes you say that you're done with the past, that you're done letting it control you, that's when everything shifts. The same thing with sadness. If you see sadness as that experience that helps you create love within yourself and helps you meet your own needs, so meet your own needs as your new self would, then you would not see that feeling of sadness as something that derails you, right? So when you make the negative emotions the fuel towards your dream life, that's when you lock that internal yes. So yesterday we talked about internal decisions. Like you make the decision, but there's an internal no. The internal yes happens when you implement exactly what I just said. When you make them the fuel. So again, number one, creating emotional authority. By stop fearing your emotions by creating a new relationship with them and treating them how your higher self would. Two, making the quote unquote negative emotions the fuel towards your dream life rather than the thing that you sit in and wait for it to come, but you actually don't want it to come and you're afraid that when the trigger hits again, it's like you're gonna fall off track. Three, what I'm gonna get to now is using that emotion to gain clarity on what you need to move forward from. So the other day we did a practice here, and a lot of the comments were about inability to let go. What if the thing that you actually need to get from point A to point B is just figuring out what do you actually need in order to let it go? And that trigger and that feeling is giving you clarity, giving you like it's data, right? It's giving you hints, it's giving you messages on what you need to move forward from so you can let go, on what you actually need to develop within yourself in order to let go of old self. So this is exactly why I spend a lot of time in the second step of my process on releasing old wounds and stories, because that's the part when people step into their most empowered versions. It's when they implement these three elements of creating emotional authority that everything changes. Okay. So, your new authority code is this can move with me. Again, your new authority code is this can move with me. So I want you to think of any trigger, any fear that is always in your face. So let's say it's fear of you running out of money, or clients not signing up, or your person being with someone else. What if you didn't have to stop? What if you didn't have to stop to worry about the feeling, to have to clear it completely, and then decide? What if this could move with you with your new decisions? What if this could move with you as you're building new habits? What if it's not the entire outfit, it's just the mug that you carry with you on your walk? Isn't that so much lighter? Isn't that taking a lot of pressure off? So, when you see it as like this can move with me, instead of this is derailing me, I have to stop, now I have to spend more time working on this, now I have to take 3 months healing this, versus I'm going to work on this and this can move with me, that is a power move. That's when you're unstoppable. That's when nothing can actually stop you. So I want you to understand that fearing your emotions is simply instilling a dominant state of disempowerment. So when you're scared of an emotion, like let's say you're afraid of falling back into a victim mindset, and that creates feelings of pain and sadness. When you're so afraid of that, the reason why you go back to it, as we know, what happens with the brain is like when you say no to something, not saying no actually, it's when you try not to focus on something but you keep using that term, most of the time your brain looks at that more. So it's kind of like the cliche example that everyone uses, which is like, don't think of a purple elephant, don't think of a purple elephant. What actually that does is create that image of that purple elephant and makes you think about it. So the same thing goes here. And when you're always in fear of your emotions, what you're saying is like, this thing is bigger than me. You have it on a pedestal and you have yourself way down here. And what that creates is that state of disempowerment. And that's when, from there, it creates the symptom of, I want to control the emotions. How do I change it? Oh my God, am I behind? Did I mess it up? That creates a constant worry in your system. And that's why you don't let go of the old story, no matter how much breath work that you do, no matter how many affirmations that you do. So instead of fearing your emotions, what we want to do is facing them. So think of your biggest trigger right now. Any trigger. Think of like, okay, you're afraid of seeing somebody post something on their stories that would upset you, or looking at your bank account. Now I want you to take this trigger and this fear as the monster under the bed that never exists. The scariest part is when you're about to look down. But once you look under the bed, you're like, oh, there's nothing there. Whew, oh my god, what was I so afraid of? That's when you're free. But a lot of people don't know how to just look down and move away. A lot of people keep looking down, looking down, looking down. Oh, there's no monster, but they're waiting for it, right? So that's the reason why people dwell when they sit with it. That's the honest truth. That's why you dwell when you sit with it. It's kind of like, this is an example I've always given. Think of like walking through the hallway when it's dark, or like that dark corridor. You know how it's so scary? But once you like pass and turn on the lights, it's like, oh, okay, there was nothing going on here. The same applies actually. So the scariest part is when you're about to cross and turn the lights on. But once the lights are on, you're like, oh my god, it wasn't even that big of a deal. And you're not going to DIE by facing it. But what keeps you in pain is always like looking at it. You turn the lights on and then you're sitting there and you're waiting to see, oh my god, and what if this happens, and then what if this happens, and you start hearing voices from that horror movie that you watched. Because you're not just looking at it and then moving forward and saying goodbye. You're looking at it and then 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 you're trying to self-medicate, trying to self-medicate, and then looking at it and self-medicating, looking at it, self-medicating. That's why you're stuck in a healing loop. So it's about, can you look under the bed, see that there is no true monster, and then look up? Instead of looking down and then stay looking down and then stay looking down, and then you're like, oh my god, why am I still scared? That's why. That's why, witch. Oh, this is so fun. Oh my god, I love this training so much, honestly. I think I actually might end it early because I covered the main points that I want to cover. So let's just like go through real quick a summary, right? So again, manifesting on demand happens when you exit the healing loop. The healing loop, it keeps you in constant fear. It creates worry in your body that is just living and stewing and growing there. And what it does is keeps you attached to the trauma story, and then you attach it to old self, and you stay attached to old self, and then you keep looking at that thing that you don't want to look at, and you're trying to heal it, but you're actually looking at it. That's why the healing loop is trash. That's why you're stuck there. And the first element of exiting the healing loop is accepting that there is no finish line. That's when you're like, okay, so there's nowhere to go. It's just continuing to move forward in life, having the healing work on the side. It's like this mug right here, it's over here. It's not the body, right? It's not all of me. And then the second element here is creating the emotional authority, which we covered. We talked about the four things that keep you, the 4 reasons why emotional authority is important. 1, it keeps you in your power. 2, creates less room for wavering. 3, it allows you to fully let go of the old story. And 4, it helps you use your current emotions and your ego to manifest faster. And then we covered how to create emotional authority. 3 steps. 1, you stop fearing your emotions by forming a new relationship with them and treating them how your higher self would. 2, make the negative emotions fuel you towards your dream life and not away from it, so that it locks in that internal yes decision. 3, use it to gain clarity on what you need to move forward from and what you need to let go of. And then we talked about your new emotional authority code, which is, this can move with me. Instead of, oh, I'm gonna stop. And oh my god, I got this trigger that I worked on last week and I thought I was over it. Now I'm gonna sit and worry about it. This can move with me. So you continue to be new self, and this will move with you until you work through it. That's how you truly exit the healing loop. And then we also covered that fearing your emotions is instilling a dominant state of disempowerment, which leads you to try to control everything, to control the outcome, to control the circumstances, the feelings, and so on. And then lastly, we talked about treating your biggest trigger as that non-existent monster that's under the bed, where you look up, you look down, you face it, and then you're like, bye, instead of looking down and then looking down and then looking down and being like, oh, why am I still looking down? Why am I still scared? Why am I still focused on the monster when it's not there? That's how you exit the healing loop. So, I love you so much. Actually, I'm thinking we can do a little teeny tiny practice. You know what? Actually, I don't want to leave you with that. I would have rather guided you afterwards with that so that you're not left with it. Okay, so I'm going to post this right afterwards, and I'm going to drop all of the slides on the Facebook group. Yeah, that's about it. So, I'm going to help you implement this step by step, customized fully to you inside Quantum Your Dreams. So, this is the second step of my process. This is all about releasing old wounds and stories. So, you can see it's not just like sitting with it. Sitting with it is kind of like staying under the bed looking at the monster. Releasing means looking down, facing it, and then moving forward. So, it's about knowing how to look away, knowing how to move and have this as a mug that you're carrying versus the clothes that you're wearing. And that's when you're going to experience massive shifts, because that's when you're going to exit old self and enter new self easily. You're going to slide into that and glide into it easily. So if you want to jump on that, I have a discount until tomorrow night, 20% off Quantum Your Dreams. You can email me at Rozana, at coachingwithrose@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at Rozana.manifests_LLC. Rozana with a Z, not an S. Thank you so much. I love you, and I will see you soon. Bye.